Well, as hurricane season begins, there is something you can do to protect yourself. You should know what your property insurance policy actually says. Our Jeff Butera is live in Tampa with more on that. And Jeff, I know you found many people who don't know what their policy does or does not cover.
Yeah, that's one of the common mistakes, Wendy. Here are a few others. If a hurricane were to come ashore here in Tampa and destroy a house, a lot of people would not know what was actually inside of the house, and others wouldn't have enough property insurance to cover the repairs. Not to brag, but John Atkinson says he decided to make an inventory of everything he has inside of his Tampa house, where he's lived for 30 years, after watching ABC Action News.
I've seen something on your station where people have lost everything.
Lynn McChristian from the Insurance Information Institute says not making a home inventory is one of the mistakes Floridians make related to property insurance in our hurricane-vulnerable state. But
the biggest mistake people make is not reading their policy to understand what they purchased.
Or if they purchased enough. For example, you want enough insurance to cover the cost of rebuilding your house after a hurricane, not just the cost of how much it would sell for right now. So read your policy.
Your homeowner's insurance policy tells you how it's supposed to work, but you won't know how insurance works until you read it.
Of course, John knows the tricky part about that.
But it is kind of hard to comprehend.
So let's try to make it a little easier to comprehend. First of all, there'll be a section at the beginning of the policy called Important Messages. McChristian says they are important. You're going to want to read them. And then secondly, later in the policy, you might see that certain sections are in larger bold print. That's not by coincidence. The state's Office of Insurance Regulation actually sets the font size for these policies. If it's bigger, they probably think you ought to read that section specifically.
It says in big type that your policy does not cover flood damage. It also says in big type that you may have a hurricane deductible.
And those two things that Lynn McChristian just mentioned are important to consider as well. Your standard homeowner's insurance policy will not cover flood damage, even flood damage from a hurricane, and you may have a hurricane-specific deductible, and you want to make sure you can cover that. Well, live in Tampa tonight, I'm Jeff Butera, ABC Action News.
All right, thank you, Jeff. And remember, you can get answers to common hurricane questions and keep track of the tropics any time of day by going to abcactionnews.com/hurricane.